As a show of faith of sorts, I decided to just make the tattooed warrior monk myself. I've homebrewed a version of it, as I thought I probably would end up doing so, and I decided I would share it all with you because, well, I think it's pretty cool, and you're allowed to think differently. That's okay. That's more or less how these things work. But I think this fits my concept of it more and improves on some of the bare bones that we got with the basic subclass from the UA, both revised and the initial version, which I just feel didn't really capture the idea of these ever-changing tattoos and the inspiration taken from nature that martial arts happen, that martial arts do actually do. Like, you've got animal forms in various forms of kung fu for a reason. It's because that's what inspires them. So I've tried to kind of weave that into my version of this. So it's in Google Docs. I'm sorry, I write for a living. It's just the way this works. I have to use Google Docs. This is a perfect fit for it. So yeah, we have the Tattooed Warrior. Inspired by everything. It has some flavor text. That's fine. Level 3, you still get 2 features. So you get the Magic Tattoos feature, which I've made a slight change to. Very much the same general vibe throughout for these, so you still get your tattoos and you can reshape them on a long rest, but I've also put that you can reshape these when you use your Uncanny Metabolism feature as well, which basically means you can reshape 2 per long rest as long as you get into a fight at some point, which I think is a nice little shift, because if you get jumped by something that you fully weren't prepared for, but you think one of your other features would fit really nicely, this allows you to react in kind. And I like the idea of the magical tattoos because they're something that can change and kind of be reactive and inspired by everything around you. And I think that helps it just hit that a little bit more without being broken. Beast tattoos. I made a bunch of changes here, added a bunch of options and a few other things. So you still gain 2 of these at level 3. You choose 2 from the following options. And then you can also add another beast tattoo whenever you gain a subclass feature at a higher level. You can only activate 1 weapon mastery per attack. That will be relevant shortly. What this basically means is that you get 2 at level 3, then you get 3 at level 6 in total, and then 4 at level 11 in total, and 5 at level 17 in total. I think the beast tattoos should be a way of kind of custom building your own monk and how you want them to play. This as more of a warlock invocation style of gameplay, and I think it's an interesting approach to take to the monk. I like what they were doing with these ones in the more recent ones. I have completely stripped out the cantrips. I don't think the cantrips are relevant, and now that we're getting more of these as well, they can be a bit simpler, but potentially more impactful. So, we still got Bat. This time it gives you blind sight of a range of 20 feet. The fighter can get blind sight of 10 feet just with the blind fighting style, and I feel like if you're mimicking an animal, it should be slightly higher than that. 20 feet is still not, out there and crazy, but it lets you see a little bit further if you're in a fog cloud, which I like a lot. Bear. You can choose for your unarmed strikes to deal slashing damage instead of the normal damage type, and they also gave the cleave weapon mastery. This lets you hit a second creature with a second attack if they're within range, 5 feet of the original target. This lets you do that once per turn, I believe. Cleavers. Crane. You can use your dexterity score to determine your jumping distance, high jumps, long jumps, anything else, and you can also stay in place in the air after a jump until you move again. I thought a flying speed at this point would be a little much, even though I don't think flying speed's that bad, to be perfectly honest, especially on a monk, because generally they're close range fighters. So the flying speed helps them move around, but it doesn't really help them that much in combat outside of getting into combat with dragons and stuff in the air. That is my personal opinion as a DM. I'm sure my DM, who is running the game for my 17th level flying Aarakocra monk, might feel differently, but I love him, so I'm sure it's okay. The idea of this is that you can stay in place basically after an attack, which means that if you do have a bow or something, you can pull that out and start striking. It feels like a good balance because you can't move. This isn't the levitate spell. You just stay there until you decide to move again, basically. So, yeah. Mantis. You can choose for your unarmed strikes to deal slashing damage, and they also gain the Graze weapon mastery. Pretty self-explanatory here. Obviously, normally unarmed strikes deal bludgeoning damage. There are some natural weapons that don't, and as you level up, they do force damage. But this is a fun way of keeping it varied early on, and there are creatures that force isn't as effective as slashing or piercing as well, so this gives you more options against those. Also, the Mantis is a pokeboy in my head. Monkey. You gain proficiency with improvised weapons, which gain the thrown range of 20 for short, 60 for long, and they use your martial art die to determine the damage. I need to edit this in real time. There we go, because I've been doing a lot of editing on this. This is very much monkeys fling things at things. and it gives you a ranged option of like picking up rocks and eating them. In my head, I also think monks should have proficiency with improvised weapons anyway. I know that there is a focus on unarmed fighting, and I do get it as someone that's done far too many years of martial arts, but I also think that most martial artists learn how to use a wide range of weapons and also can improvise once they're at a sufficiently high level, so this fits. Owl, you gain dark vision of 60 feet, or gain an additional 60 feet if you already have it. Nice and simple. Nothing fancy about that. Raven, you can attack using your wisdom modifier in place of your dexterity or strength modifier. This lets you spec into wisdom if you want to, but you do have to give up one of your beast tattoos to do so. I like playing a wisdom heavy monk. It's just good. So yeah, I think I need to put 4 attacks though. Otherwise you can use your wisdom modifier to jump. And that doesn't make any sense. Snake, you can choose for your unarmed strike to do piercing damage, and they also gain the sap weapon mastery. The sap weapon mastery is the one that gives disadvantage on their next attack. I was considering the slow weapon mastery, but I feel like I like the idea of you snapping in with an attack at like a key muscle or something that makes it harder for them to hit. That makes me happy. And then Tortoise, your AC goes up by 1. Easy. The ability to take 2 of these and then take more as you level up, and also shift and switch them out as you go with the uncanny metabolism and the long rest, means that you're a monk that doesn't specialize in anything but can do whatever is needed. This is the thinking person's monk, although you kind of have to be a thinking person to play D&D, just like generally that's how thinking works. But yeah, that's the level 3 one. Level 6 was celestial tattoos, and it was the worst feature, I think, of the bunch. So I've changed it to cosmic tattoos, with the idea being that this is from other planes, generally speaking. With that in mind, I still wanted to keep this as something that can be for RP, so a ribbon feature, but also then tie some combat stuff into it. So you gain 1 of these tattoos at this level. You can gain knowledge of a creature's alignment if you have a creature fail a charisma saving throw against your monk save when you touch it. That's relevant because we've got heaven, hell, and limbo, which I viewed as being the neutral option. So all 3 of these give you advantage on checks and charisma and wisdom checks regarding either good aligned beings for heaven, evil aligned beings for hell, or neutral aligned beings for limbo. I like the alignment system. I like it when features reference it. It's a little bit more work for the DM. I do appreciate that, but I always give myself more work anyway. So, along with that, each of these also comes with something you can do at the beginning of your turn. Heaven lets you spend 1 focus point at the start of your turn to add 1d4 radiant damage to every single attack. This scales up naturally because you get more attacks. So, Hell lets you spend a focus point to deal fire damage equal to your wisdom modifier to any creatures of your choice within a 10-foot emanation of you. At the moment, that's just at the start of your turn. It might be something that lasts for the turn, so you can like Spirit Guardians it. My concern is that might be too strong. I'll put it in for now. There we go. I edited it. It's abusable. If it's broken, just nerf it. I'm not a game designer here, people. I'm not a good one. Anyway. And then Limbo lets you spend a focus point at the start of your turn to gain the invisible condition until you next attack or take damage. This lets you slink away. The idea being that Limbo is the lesser known one, right? You're sneaking, but it's also a good opportunity if something's coming for you and you need to get advantage or anything like that. Yeah, I like it. Personally, I mean, I built it. I do think Limbo is more niche than Heaven and Hell, but I do think there are times when you might need to be a bit stealthier, and that's obviously going to help. So yeah, level 11 was the nature tattoo, which is the resistance tattoo in the second revised version. I've changed this one too. I've gone a bit poetic with it. All of these grant advantage on a saving throw of a specific stat. They give you resistance to a different stat. They allow you to have your unarmed strikes deal that kind of damage, and you can then spend a focus point to inflict condition on the enemy. A bit like Stunning Strike, but with no save. There is a chance that the focus point cost is too low. Just put it at 1. At level 11, you obviously have 11 focus points, but you're going to be using a lot of those to do all of your standard monk stuff generally. If you assume you're using 1 per turn, for example, to activate the Heaven feature, then you're going to be running out of focus points pretty quickly. So Cacophonous Thunder is charisma saves, thunder damage, and you can inflict the deafen condition because it's loud. Flowing River is the dexterity saves. It gives you cold resistance and cold damage, and it lets you half the movement speed of a creature. Raging Fire is strength saves, fire damage, obviously, and you can also set the creature on fire, which deals an extra roll of your martial arts die at the beginning of its turn. These do all have saves as well, by the way, con saves, so it's not like it just auto happens. I think I might have said that earlier. I'm tired. Apologies, past me, future me, you there watching me. Splitting Lightning is intelligence saving throws, and then obviously it's lightning damage. It also allows you to inflict the blinded condition, because flash of lightning. Unmoving Earth is con saves, it's poison damage, because poison comes from the earth. Look, I admit that the last two are a little tenuous, but I'm doing my best. You can inflict the poison condition for a turn. Poison condition's great, that's always good. And then a Whistling Wind is acid, because acid rain, and you can spend a focus point to lower the AC by an amount equal to your proficiency bonus for a turn if the stuck creature fails a con saving throw. That might be too good, if I'm being honest, but acid and poison damage aren't that strong generally, so I think it's fine. By the time you get up to levels where your proficiency bonus is really high, obviously you're level 17 anyway, and frankly, balancing that stuff's done. So let me know what you think. Then we've got level 17, which is the monster tattoos. This was the good one from the second UA, although only one of them was really good. I've added an extra one and I've reworked all of them, pretty much. So Beholder, at the start of your turn, you can expend a focus point to gain a fly speed. While you have the fly speed, you can hover, and you can do a magic action to expend a focus point to fire 4 beams. I've changed it so that these 4 beams can target any target within 120 feet of you, because I just think that makes more sense. You make a ranged spell attack for each ray, use your wisdom spell as your spellcasting modifier, and on a hit it takes force damage equal to 1 roll your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. However, to help kind of replicate that Beholder feeling, I've also written in that you can spend a focus point per target, or the targets that you want to affect, to activate your stunning strike. The idea being that you can stun creatures with your eye beam, because that's something Beholders can do. I think it's good. I think it makes it more fitting thematically, and at level 17 you need strong features. So Chromatic Dragon, this went through a couple revisions already. It might go through more, who knows. The Chromatic Dragon is, as a bonus action, so not replacing an attack this time, but your whole bonus action, you can expend up to 3 focus points to make an exhalation of magical energy in the 30-foot cone. You choose a damage type: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. Each creature in that area makes a dex saving throw, and then you roll a number of martial arts dice equal to twice the number of focus points spent on this. On a failed save, a creature takes damage of the chosen type equal to the number of rolls plus your wisdom mod. On a successful save, they take half as much. I think that makes this feel a lot better than the 1 focus point for 2 martial arts die I think it was before. This lets you kind of burn through your focus points to do a substantial amount more damage, which I think is good. I actually think it might need something slightly more on top of that, maybe a longer range. The Beholder already has a flying speed, so maybe it could be advantage on all charisma checks or something. Dragons are tricky, you know. I mean, it could be any creatures hit by this have to succeed on... If they fail the save, they also gain the frightened condition. That might be a good fix. Again, let me know your thoughts. Displace a Beast. I love the concept of the Displace a Beast. As I've stripped out all of the spell stuff, I've done the same here. When you expend a focus point, use Flurry of Blows or Step of the Wind, you can expend 1 focus point to give all incoming attacks disadvantage until the end of your next turn as part of the bonus action. It lets you become a Displacer Beast. This is no mirror image. This is you give everything disadvantage, closer displacement style. I added Giant because I like throwing stuff. Also, Monks and the Grappler feat go really, really well together. This fits as a result. So when you have a foe grappled by you, clunky wording, but you just put when you're grappling a throw, because technically that means if they're grappling you too, as V, my wife is the MC, pointed out. Thank you. Anyway, when you have a foe grappled by you, you can throw it 30 feet to an unoccupied space or at another foe using your action or bonus action for 1 focus point. The damage is equal to 3 rolls of your martial arts die to all creatures involved, plus any falling damage equal to the distance travelled if they hit something. Otherwise, you throw them straight up in the air and they take damage anyway. So the idea here is that you're a giant, you can throw things. You use your whole action or your bonus action, so I don't think the 3 martial arts rolls is overpowered, and I like the fact that you would deal extra damage if you hit another creature with it. I don't like that falling damage is halved when you land on stuff. I don't think falling damage should be halved if you're throwing something at something. The impact is still massive. Most living beings are not squishy enough that landing on them is going to give you half the amount of damage you would normally have. And I think this fits as a cool way to play a monk. If you enter a fight and you realise that there's just a bunch of dudes that you can yeet around, then this fits into that nicely. Finally, we've got Troll, which I kept the same. I think it's the only one that stays exactly the same. I did remove the bloodied condition. There were concerns that was too strong, so I put the bloodied condition back in. Yeah, congrats to Troll to being the only thing that survived unchanged. You're a real one. This is gonna be in a link in the description. I'm kind of proud of this. I mean, I kind of have to be a little bit proud of it. I don't think it's perfect. I'm also not a game designer as much as I would enjoy being one. Maybe. I keep monetizing hobbies. Don't do that, kids. Enjoy your hobbies as hobbies. Anyway, yeah, that's the Tattooed Monk as I think it should be. I much prefer this version, which is why I made it. Hopefully you get a kick out of it too. Let me know if you use it. Let me know your thoughts on what you would do. But that's it for today. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers now, and getting there is such a big deal for YouTube. So I'm very excited to make it there. I should probably consider a Discord or something, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how to be online particularly well. I'm also still eyeing up Patreon as a way to maybe share homebrew stuff as well, but I put it up for free too, so maybe it's a waste of time. I just don't know. I could also do campaign diaries. Look, I have ADHD. You all know this. This is not new information. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.